People keep asking me this question: who is the greatest? Who did I see that was truly special? And I always give the same answer. Every generation has its own Goran. I was the Goran of mine. But watching from the side, as a rival, as a coach, even as a kid with a poster on the wall, I saw 5 names that they stop you. One of them broke my heart. One I discovered before anyone knew his name. Let me start with the poster. Okay, so picture this, right? A kid's bedroom in Split, and on the wall there is a poster of this crazy left-handed guy from America screaming at umpires, throwing his racket like it owes him money. That was John McEnroe, and I chose him, not just because of the tennis. I mean, the tennis was insane, but because of the left hand and the temperament. I saw myself in that temperament, honestly. I grew up watching everybody really. Connors was still around. I caught the tail end of Borg's comeback. Then Wilander, Edberg, Becker, all of them passed through my eyes like a parade. But McEnroe stayed on the wall. And then, the strangest thing happens in this sport. You grow up, and one day you are not looking at the poster anymore. You are standing across the net from it. I remember the first time I had to play him. I mean, my legs, they did not know if they should run toward him for an autograph or run away. That is the truth. You spend your whole childhood wanting to be someone, and then tennis it puts you on the other side of the court from him and says, good luck. I will not lie to you, I do not really remember the score anymore. That part fades. What I remember is the walk to the net after shaking the hand of the poster. I remember standing there afterward just thinking, how do you even explain this to a kid who once had that face on his wall that stays with you forever, Here is the part that honestly it still gets me a little, and many years later they put me into the Hall of Fame, and the man who stood up to introduce me to speak about my career was him, John McEnroe. Can you imagine that? The kid from the poster introducing the kid who had the poster. And he said something I will never forget. He said I was arguably crazier on the court than he was, which, coming from him, that is not an insult. That is basically a trophy. He said, he's lefty, I like that. He's super talented. And then he said the thing that really got me. He said, I always had him on the edge of his seat because he never knew what was going to happen next. And honestly, neither did I. We became something else after that, not rivals anymore, not idol and fan either. More like 2 crazy left-handed men who understood each other on a very strange level. So that is McEnroe for me. Not just a great player, I mean obviously a great player, but he is the reason a poor kid in Split started dreaming with a racket in his hand in the first place. He was the beginning. Every story needs a beginning, and mine started with a left-handed madman on my bedroom wall. Okay, so Sampras. If McEnroe was the poster, then Sampras was the wall I kept running into over and over. We were the same generation, we came up together, junior tournaments, the same tunnels, the same locker rooms, and I think we both knew even then that our whole careers would keep crossing at the worst possible moments. I mean, it was always Wimbledon. Always. Like the tennis gods looked at the calendar and said, let's put these two here again on the biggest stage and let's see who breaks first. And it was usually me who broke. Honestly, I will just say it straight, because that is how I say everything. That man destroyed a lot of my life, my dreams, my sleep, my nerves. I mean it. I still, to this day, I have not fully forgiven him for that. And I say it laughing now, but back then it was not funny at all. There was one final in particular. I do not even want to walk through it point by point, honestly, because it still does something to my chest. I was playing well. I believed deep down that I was the better player that day, and I lost anyway. That is the one. That is the final that broke me. Everything after that, my career, it started sliding downhill slowly, like a rock. You cannot stop once it starts moving. I remember walking off that court thinking, how do I live with this? But, and this is the important part, you cannot hate a man for being better than you and also refuse to see how great he was. Sampras. Sampras was a marvel, that is the only word for it. Someone in my own corner once told me, after watching him up close, that he was the most complete player they had seen since Lever. And honestly, having stood across the net from him, I do not disagree. He did not have weaknesses you could hunt for. I mean, most players, you find a crack, you attack it. With him, there was no crack. Just this calm, almost cold precision, match after match, like he was never nervous, like the big stage made him more dangerous instead of more scared. Meanwhile, I'm out there being Goran, throwing rackets, talking to God on the changeover. So when people ask me if I respect him, respect is a strange word for a man who ruined so many nights of sleep for me, but yes, completely. He is on this list not because he was kind to my career. He was the opposite of kind to my career. He is on this list because greatness, real greatness, sometimes looks exactly like the person standing on the other side of the net, holding the trophy you wanted, while you're left wondering, what else could I have done? Okay, so this one is different, this one does not come with pain in it, not really. I mean, with Federer, my story starts before he was even famous, before anyone outside of Switzerland even knew his name, honestly. I hit with him once when he was still just a boy, still a teenager, some tournament in Basel, just practice, nothing official. And I remember standing there afterward thinking, this kid is gonna be good. I did not know he would be this good. Nobody could have known that, honestly. But even then, something about the way he moved, the way he picked his shots, it stayed in my head. And I think that is what makes him different from everyone else on this list, With Sampras, it was pain. With McEnroe, it was worship from a distance as a kid. But Federer, I got to watch him grow from a boy hitting practice balls in Basel into the most complete artist this sport has ever produced. I mean that word carefully, artist, because that is what he is on the court. Everyone else, we fight, we grind. We throw our whole body into every shot like we are trying to survive something. Federer just plays. It looks like it costs him nothing. I used to watch him and think, if I was his coach, what would I even tell him? What is there to fix? He is fast, he has a great volley, a great serve, a great backhand. I mean, great everything, honestly. There is no hole to point at. And even when he plays badly, which almost never happens, even then it is still a joy to watch. that is rare. That is so rare in this sport. Most of us, when we play badly, it is ugly. 90 minutes of suffering for everyone watching. Federer plays badly and it still looks like poetry. I do not know how a person does that. I remember saying once, honestly, that he is a magician with a racket, and I still believe that completely. There is a difference between being great and being beautiful, you know. Some players are one or the other. He is both somehow at the same time, and it never looked like a contradiction with him. So when people ask me where he belongs on a list like this, I do not even have to think about it, honestly. He belongs right here, near the very top, not because he broke my heart like Sampras did, not because he was on my bedroom wall like McEnroe was, but because I got to watch from very close a boy become the most graceful player I have ever seen hold a racket. That is a privilege, you know. Not every coach gets to say that. Okay, so Nadal is a strange one for me to talk about, honestly, because I never really played him. I mean, by the time he properly arrived, I was already on the other side of the fence, sitting in a box, coaching, watching him from a very different angle than I watched the others on this list. And I will be honest with you, I have said things about him publicly that I probably should not have said. Before one final in particular, I made a comment. I said I did not think he had much of a chance that day, something like that. And well, he went out and made me look, let's just say he made me look very foolish. I do not think he even heard what I said, honestly. Someone told him after, but I felt it. I felt it in my chest watching that match, because that is Nadal for you. You doubt him even a little and he turns it into fuel. I mean, I have never seen a competitor like this, honestly. Other players get tired, they get discouraged, their shoulders drop a little when things go wrong. Nadal just runs down one more ball and then another, and then another, until you are the one who breaks, not him. A fighter to exhaustion, that is the phrase I always come back to with him. He does not out-talent everybody, not always. He just completely refuses to let the match end before his body physically cannot continue. And on that one surface, you know which one he has won. So many times there that it stopped being a record a while ago and just became, honestly, it became a joke among the other players, like, oh, are we still doing this? But here is the thing I want people to understand about my relationship with him. Even with the rivalry, even with him being on the other side of the net from my own player for so many years, I have deep respect for him personally, off the court. He's not warm right away, you know, it takes time, but once there is respect there, it is real. I remember saying once that we are not exactly close friends, he and I, but we have earned each other's respect, and I meant that. And honestly, I will say something that might surprise people. Novak is the best tennis player. I believe that completely. But if my life depended on the outcome of one single match, one match, winner takes everything, I think I would put my trust in Nadal. Something about that heart, that refusal to quit, it feels like the safest bet in the world when everything else is on the line. That is not a small thing to say about a man who spent so many years standing across from the player I was trying to protect. Okay, so this last one, this one is different from all the others, completely different, because this is not a rival and this is not a poster on a wall. This is someone I actually got to build something with, you know. For years I sat in his box, I watched him from the closest seat in the world, And honestly, I will tell you, it was not easy. People think coaching him must be simple because he is already so good, so what is there to even teach? But it is the opposite, completely the opposite. Every single day something new had to happen. He is demanding, extremely demanding, and there were times he would just unload on me mid-match in front of everyone, and I would sit there thinking, okay, breathe, this is the job. I used to joke that he tortured us, honestly, me and the rest of the team, like he chained us to the bench and just would not let go until we found an answer for him. And but underneath all of that, there was something real. I have said before, and I meant it completely, I was ready to even die for that man. That is not something you say about just any player you coach. That is family, honestly. That is different. And I think that closeness, being that close to him for so many years, it gave me a view of his tennis that nobody else really had. Not from the stands, not from a television camera, from inside it. And from inside it, I can tell you honestly, he is the most complete player I have ever seen. Hold the racket. I mean, think about the other names I just gave you. McEnroe had the fire. Sampras had that cold, perfect precision. Federer had the beauty, the artistry. Nadal has that heart that refuses to quit. Novak somehow has all of it at once in one player. The legs of a fighter, the mind of a genius, and a body that it does not seem to break, not the way other bodies break. So when people ask me straight out who is the greatest player I have ever seen, I do not hesitate anymore, honestly. I used to hesitate, but not now. I say Novak, the most complete of the three great ones, the greatest of all time, full stop. And look, we do not work together anymore. That chapter closed, but the friendship never closed. We still talk. We still laugh about the ridiculous things we went through together all those years, all those airports, all that pressure. He still calls me his family, and honestly, that means more to me than any trophy we ever won side by side. Some players you coach, Novak, I raised in a strange way, right alongside my own children. So that is my five, a poster, a wound, a piece of art, a heart that will not quit, and a son I never gave birth to. Funny, honestly, when I think about it, that kid in Split staring at a wall, he had no idea he would one day stand across the net from half of it and coach the other half of it from a chair. I still say it, every generation has its own Goran, but I think honestly I got lucky. I did not just get my own generation. I got to borrow pieces of 4 or 5 others, watching from the closest seat. Tennis allows, that is not a small thing, People always want a clean answer, a number one. But greatness, real greatness, it does not live in a ranking, honestly. It lives in a bedroom wall, in a final that broke you, in a boy in Basel you'll never forget. I'm still that kid, really, just with worse knees and a much better view.